a result of that, to coincide with your exhibition, with the book launch, you went out to Window. You tried to secure funding to do another exhibition focusing on the Northeast Tobago Biosphere Reserve. Talk about the importance of that and why you went there.
So we were in Tobago, we were based in Tobago for a little while, specifically to raise awareness, to get photographs, to raise awareness about this biosphere reserve, because it was declared by UNESCO, the Man in the Biosphere program, in October 2020. And I figured that, having lived in Trinidad and Tobago for all my life, I understand how we operate, right? We tend to be retroactive. Now, the Biosphere program has a 10-year window after which UNESCO would evaluate the process and evaluate, has there been growth in sustainable farming or economics, or is there biodiversity monitoring that's going on? What are the changes within the Biosphere Reserve? So I figured that a lot of people would be in this country, we wouldn't know that it exists. We wouldn't know that it was declared until we see the images. Because we would say, well, what is in the forest? What is the importance of a marine protected area? But if we get to see the animals, if we get to see the seascapes, if we get to see the corals, all of these things, then we can have an opportunity to, and it is so for the rest of my work too, it's an opportunity for people to understand what is there, to fall in love with it, to then be motivated to care for it. And that was my main purpose in going to Tobago, to try to raise awareness about this biosphere reserve.
Yeah, and what is the value of it? Because my sense is that there are people even in Tobago who talk about preserving it because that has sort of become a island cultural issue. But people don't understand the reason behind that, why it's necessary to preserve that part, that piece of rainforest, so one in the center of the island.
Yeah, of course, because it's the talk about preservation has always been something where I am telling you what to do, or you are telling me what to do, right? And it's, for many people, and for myself included, it's like, if you tell me what to do, well, I'm suspicious. Why are you telling me that? What do you stand to gain from telling me what to do? So the concept of telling someone and instructing someone or instructing a population that they should do this, I think, is not as effective as if the population themselves can get to understand why it should be protected, why the health of this forest is going to be beneficial to us. So on Tobago, for example, that main ridge was protected since 1776 for the primary reason of its role as a watershed. And it's how it feeds the entire island with these pristine rivers. And of course, most of Tobago was estate at that point in time. So the estate owners knew that this is going to be essential for the health of their estate. So they had that area protected. But that biosphere reserve is much greater than that. It also encompasses the villages. It encompasses the main ridge forest, yes, but also the villages as well as the surrounding waters. So it's supposed to guide people as to how to interact with nature, to make sure that we can interact with it in a way that is beneficial for us as well as nature. And the fact of the matter is that there is no difference between us and nature. If nature is healthy, we will be.
I'm just choosing stuff from sort of vicariously in the article I was carried in the paper. Here's this paragraph. This year was a record breaker in terms of scorching temperatures. As someone who is out in the forests more frequently than most, Abdul admits that what he's witnessing is concerning. The natural world operates on a rhythm, and right now we are out of time. Rhythms are off, and it's being seen in vegetation, trees in the forest, and bursting into flower when they should not be, sometimes multiple times a year. Let's talk about the importance of that, the significance of that.
Yeah, of course. It is very much a matter of for things to operate, right? Everything must go in time. Everything is in tandem. Nothing in nature operates on its own beat, right? Everything goes according to something else.
And there's a purpose for every step,
correct,
for everything that happens in the natural environment.
That's right. So a tree will go into flower at a particular point in time when there are particular pollinators that may have just emerged, whether they are insects. So the insect larvae will have to emerge at the same time when the tree goes into flower, for example. And then there'll be birds that will feed on the insect larvae to make sure that their population is not overwhelming, right? And everything is there to keep something else in check. Everything is there to feed something else. Everything is there to keep the whole system going. And what I noticed, and I've noticed this over the past few years, is that trees especially, and some other forest plants, they come into flower at times when I have not seen them flowering. So the pui, for example, the pink pui is something that I know that would, whenever I see the pui flowering, I know that it's exam time. It's May, June, right? So, you know, you're writing your CXC or whatever. I know that that's the time when, oh, I should know my work, right? But there's pui flowering now. I've seen pui flowering in November, right? So this is something that's alarming to me as someone.
What do you think is the reason for that?
I think
something has gone off?
Yeah, I think it's something that's gone off. You know, I don't know the exact science behind it, but they are very much tied to the weather, right? So if the weather is off, we are having unnaturally wet periods when it's supposed to be dry, and vice versa. And some of these things may be giving mixed signals to trees. Yesterday I was by a friend's estate in Matura, and he has a yellow pui tree, and half of the tree is in flower and the other half is not, right? And he's just saying, well, the tree, like, it doesn't know what to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I was moved by this piece to come to the exhibition, and I got there that afternoon. I was looking around. I was in awe, and in some cases, it was sort of frightening what I was reading from some of what you were saying. So you had this picture of these two howling monkeys, and you were talking something about it. I'm trying to remember I made a note of it, but you're saying that they know more than we think they know, something like that.
Yes, so it is actually a picture of a pair of capuchin monkeys, okay, right? And that is the white-fronted capuchin, and that is actually an endemic species to Trinidad, right? So it's not found anywhere else in the world. It is only found here, and it is actually critically endangered. And the title of that piece is More Human Than We Understand.
More Human Than We Understand.
That's right, yeah. So, and the whole point of that is to have the viewer, because all of the pieces that I have in this exhibition are meant to be conversational. So, you look at it, it makes you think a certain way. You might look at it again, you might look around the frame, and you might notice something. So in that frame, one of the monkeys has an outstretched hand. And, it looks very much like a human hand. Just the pose of it, the way the light hits it and everything. So that is meant, and then, then you go back to the expressions on the monkeys' faces, and they're monkeying around, right?
Yeah. So that's what we would say, because yeah, it was there for me to ask you, so when we describe somebody as monkeying around, we are sort of, we are being disrespectful to the monkeys.
Exactly, right? So we're putting certain things on a monkey, and we're picking and choosing what we want to ascribe as human and what we want to ascribe as monkeys. But at the end of the day, we're primates, right? We share a lot of things, a lot of traits with the primates especially. And it's meant to show a commonality, right, between human life and animal life. Like, what is really so different in their life as opposed to ours? What makes them animals and makes us humans? And is it possible for us to think of ourselves as other animals, as other worthy inhabitants, equal inhabitants of this planet? So yeah, it's a progression.
Yeah, and then there's this picture of one species of the hummingbird. I describe him as, I think from what I remember, sort of the night watchman, or the person who is sort of the keeper of the rest of it.
The gatekeeper. The gatekeeper. It was actually a turkey vulture.
Okay.
Right, so it was a vulture hunched over in the rain, and a lot of people enjoyed that image, right? Because it's like, here is a kobo, right? Locally we call it king kobo, right? We have the kobo, which is all black. It's a black vulture, and then there's a turkey vulture, which is a little bigger, and it's got a red head, right? And that's what locally is known as a king kobo. But here's something that is kind of seen as grotesque, as unappealing, right? But then it's here in a photo, and it's completely in its element. And a lot of people have really taken to that image, and it is in fact, out of all of the pretty birds that I have in that exhibition, that vulture is the one that sold first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a shot of is a turtle, and again there's a reason why you put it there, and I'm trying to again recall what it says, what the phrase says as to the importance of that animal to us.
Yes. So I have two different turtles in that exhibition. One is a leatherback, which is what we've come to know and love. We go to Matura, we go to Grand Riviere. I remember many years ago walking up and down Manzanilla Beach in the night, looking for leatherbacks coming up to lay and so on. And it is very much a part of the island's DNA, as it is the turtle's DNA, right? I have that there. That leatherback is called the Voyager.
Yeah.
Right. Specifically because the leatherback is the largest known turtle in the world, is also the deepest diving turtle, because the leatherback, the shell is not like a typical turtle shell, right? It can flex under the great pressure at very, very deep depths. And it's also the widest ranging turtle. So turtles that were tagged in Trinidad have been found as far north as Newfoundland. And I believe in the North Atlantic. I don't know exactly where, I can't say for sure. But that is a Voyager, and the other turtle that I have is a smaller turtle called a hawksbill. And that is critically endangered. So the hawksbills used to be slaughtered for their shells, right? To make tortoise shell glasses, frames, and shoes, and whatever else. And it's critically endangered as a result. And that piece is meet me where the land greets the sea. So it is just at that point where the waves are coming in, the shore ends, and the turtle is coming in, the sun is going down. So it is a confluence of junctions of many worlds in that particular picture.
Yeah, and sometimes what amazes me is the intelligence, native intelligence of these animals. I was on the beach in Blanchisseuse one time, at that time of the year when they come ashore and people go in their numbers, and we were watching a turtle lay. And she probably felt that the crowd was too big, and they have a way, flip sand that gets into your eyes. So it's
just go back a little bit, please. A little privacy, please. Thank you very much.
It was amazing.
Yeah, it is incredible.
You've been to probably, are there still forests in Trinidad that you want to Tobago that you haven't been to? Because again, the exhibition demonstrates you've been from one end of the country to another, because you have a sense of what is there in that particular, whether it's on the way to Moruga, whether it's in Cedrus, whether you've been across the country in
Yeah, well, you see, the thing is with nature, right, is that if you visit a place once and you walk down the road and you come back, it's different. So whether, there are places that I haven't been, of course, right?
But is it your intention to get to some of
My intention is to enjoy the forest and enjoy the wild spaces as much as possible, right? But, there are places that I return to, and every time I go there, it is different, right? And that is the beauty of it. You can't go to one place and say, well, I've seen it, because there will be things that you have not seen. And that is something that I've also worked into the exhibition, because there is how the pieces are hung in the exhibition. There is actually one piece that most people miss. And it is there for the specific purpose of that lesson, that you can go to a space in nature, because I always like to say, well, I brought the bush into Port of Spain with this exhibition. You go into the space, you look at the pictures, and you leave, and there is one that most people miss, and they don't see it. And that the lesson in that is that you can go to a space in nature, you can go to one of these, whether it is tree pools, or you go on a hike somewhere, or you take a drive somewhere, you are never going to see everything. There's always going to be something that you have to come back for.
Yeah, to go back to some specific places.
That's right, yeah. But there are many places within the country that I would like to go to, right? But in time, it will happen
in time.
Yes.
Here's what you say: some species of migratory birds have arrived earlier than previous seasons, and which could be a result of changing conditions in their breeding grounds in the far north. Additionally, for the first time this year, you observed that the extreme heat has killed young trees. If these conditions are repeated in the future, and young trees are unable to survive, then we are surely doomed.
That's right. I have seen, this year is the first year that I have seen young trees, that the last period of heat that we had, a few weeks ago. It is the first time that I have seen young trees with leaves that have been scorched by the sun. Because typically there is heat, there's peticarem, right? And there is some degree of heat, but the young trees are usually protected. They may lose 1 or 2 leaves in that period, but they will survive and they will continue. They will get bigger. By the next year, they will have more resilience and so on. But this year was the first year that I've seen young trees lose leaves, and the leaves get scorched, they fall off, and the young trees themselves are killed by the heat. I've never seen that before, and to me that is very worrying.
And there is a sense in which it is not going to get any less scorching, as you say, because for a number of other factors that, how we live and the things we produce will contribute to global overheating.
Yeah, and of course it will vary from year to year. This year I believe was an El Nino year, so it was exceptionally hot. But other years, the rainfall patterns may be different. But all trends are pointing to global heating, and all trends are pointing towards more extremes, whether the extremes are in rainfall or in heat or in snowfall or whatever. Everything is just getting more and more extreme.
And sometimes when you get the news from other parts of the world, you talk about the ice caps up north. They're melting faster than it's comfortable.
That's right.
I think one of these days we will be in a situation where we'll be just flooded because the waters will come down and low sort of altitude countries, we will be flooded.
Yeah, of course, there are many island nations that are already feeling the pressure of rising sea levels as a result. But I can assure you, before that even hits, there will be other things that will be happening, right? Because it is a slippery slope, and the further we go into the future without changing how we operate and how we interact with nature, is going to be the worst for us in the long run.
You see here, unfortunately, man is not showing any signs of stopping or even slowing down. More than half of the forest in Trinidad is already gone, and it is getting more difficult to find areas that have no sign of human interference, whether in the form of felled trees, litter, or hunting camps.
That's right, that's right. So, I've been up to El Cerro de la Ripo, which is the highest point of Trinidad, right? And on the way up there, you'll see like a wrapper from an energy bar or something like that. So, you have people who are hiking who supposedly enjoy nature, and it's like we don't have a culture of leaving no trace of our existence. It's like we always want a mark. So you go somewhere, there is a tree, you pull out a pocket knife and you carve your initials in it. And so it is very difficult to go somewhere, even if, I remember we went to Shaka Shakari one day, and we got there very early in the morning, and there was a glorious sunrise coming up from the east, right? So we get there, we look at the sun coming up, but in the foreground, on the beach itself, is just thousands of plastic bottles, right? And that plastic has come up from the Caroni River into the Gulf of Paria and just gone there. Some of it has washed up from all the way in South America, and it is just, here is an uninhabited island, but it's full of garbage, right? We were going through the Trinity Hills in the southeast one day, and it was the first time that I had seen a collared peccary in the wild. Right now, collared peccaries are what we call wild hog or quenk, right? And recent studies have shown that they are so socially advanced that they actually practice funerals for their dead. And it was the first time that I had seen one in the wild. It was running across the road, and it was quickly followed by a hunting dog. And then, it's like, well, I'm not going to stick around because the next thing is bullets. I didn't want a chance just being in the firing line then. I understood what was going on. But the fact is that the Trinity Hills is supposed to be a game sanctuary, right? And there are numerous hunting camps established, and it's a fairly normal thing for people to hunt in that reserve. So it's difficult to avoid personally for me, and you see it in my work, I try to avoid the hand of man in what I depict, because I like to depict nature as how it has always been and have that sense of peace, and this is how the animals are living, and this is them undisturbed. So, but I found it difficult to experience that as the years go by.
Yeah, you say also here, we desperately need to reevaluate how we interact with nature, to put ourselves in a position where we know that future generations will be able to live comfortably.
Yeah, and a lot of people say it's about future generations being able to enjoy nature, right? As if nature is here specifically for our enjoyment, right? But the fact of the matter is that all the plants and all the animals and all of the nice clean water and fresh air and everything had to be on this planet for humanity to have a chance. If we get rid of it, we are not going to be able to survive. That's the plain talk about it.
What was your sense of it and how we will come to our senses?
I think we are a species that we have to burn to learn, right? Unfortunately, because people have been talking about this for a very long time. I remember from when I was a child, and I would go through the National Geographic magazines, and I would see this animal is endangered, this forest is being logged for palm oil plantations or whatever. And then 30 years later, I'm here now, and we're talking about the same issues, and the situation has just gotten more dire. So it's like the information has been there, but what have we done about it? We just argue about it and say, well, are you sure? Are you sure this is real? And meanwhile, we're going ahead and we're destroying things, and we're unraveling the fabric of the life that supports us.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
If we go back a minute to the issue that is raised by the plastic plague, you could call it that. I remember a time when I was growing up when I'd call the sort of the time when plastics were seen as sort of our solution, when we were moving away from metal, and everything was becoming plasticized. So utensils and body replacement parts that used to be metal began to be made with plastic, and so there was this celebration of what was called the plastics revolution. We have come to rue that now.
Well, of course, yeah. I mean, remember it was a cheap solution, right? So it became cheaper to produce the plastic as it was to say, well, we will do this with paper, we'll do this with another material or something like that. So it ties back to profit at the end of the day. If I can produce something for a lower cost and sell it to you and have something that, so if I sell you a plastic pen, for example, right? It's not the pen that we used to use back in the day with the cartridge. Fountain pen. So you just, you fill in your ink and you go in, and you can use that pen for 40 years, right? But if I'm selling you that pen and I sell you that, when am I going to make my next bit of money? Right?
And this is supremely disposable.
That's right. Yeah. So it's planned obsolescence in electronics as well, and it is all driven by profit.
Yeah, we got to adjourn for the time being. But I mean, what is the sense of? You have any sense of assurance that we will learn what we are required to learn in order for our own continuance? In the sense of having species.
In the sense of having a degree of hope, I am very practical about the situation, and I firmly believe that unless we don't all, on a personal, individual level, establish that reconnection with the natural world, we stand no chance of survival as a species.
Faraz Abdul, thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
We say alhamdulillah.
Indeed.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
This has been 10 Questions. I'm Andy Johnson. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
I'm Keaton Shaw, and we are WESN, the content capital.
My name is Carl Media. I'm the founder and the host of Ever Increasing Voice Ministries. Join me every Saturday and Sunday on WESN, this powerful station, at 9 a.m. on Saturdays, 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. nightly. Also on Sundays, I'll be on at 7 a.m., 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. at night time. When you come here, we are getting people heavenly ready.
Is it politics? What is it? Is it that nobody cares about sports?
The kind of support that sport used to get in the past is no longer here.
The thing is, taking a knee doesn't mean that that's the only thing you're doing now, Andy.
Right.
Taking a knee along with other stuff.
Samantha, what are you looking forward to when you return home to Trinidad and Tobago after winning the title?
Thank you very much for speaking it into existence.
Is there no pressure on Nicholas Paul?
It makes me more motivated to work hard and to go out there and rep the red, white and black.
Why are we sending a team to the Winter Olympics?
There are a number of Trinbagonians who are in the diaspora and have grown up in winter sport. It's an opportunity that the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee will not close the door on.
I also believe in the players that we have. Once you can motivate the players, you can get the best out of them.
The issue, the continued rise in the price of flour and its impact on the cost of living in Trinidad and Tobago. How should we go about it? I want to ask you, what has been revealed to you about the state of vulnerability in the country because of this exercise and because of what we're going through? Is the government losing the war on the vaccine front?
The discussion should revolve around the common good for the greatest number of people in Trinidad and Tobago.
How do we inculcate a sense of respect and regard for people who may not be of your own political ilk or persuasion?
The communities are now being used by political opportunists. So
when the tables are turned, it's the same way. Okay, this has been 10 Questions. I'm Andy Johnson, and we'll see you next time.
People really want to know, what about me? Where do I fit? Yes. What is in the right in terms of a better Trinidad and Tobago, and I'm pleased to shed some light on that.
The purpose of bail is to ensure your attendance at court. That's it. It is not punitive, it is not rehabilitative.
We the police officers, we are professional, and we are here for whenever the survivor is ready to come forward.
We have the right to private and family life, the right to religious freedoms and beliefs and thoughts and expression. But these rights are not absolute. Certain rights can be limited.
The law is to govern the whole, it's for all of us in public.
Have a content capital Christmas. It's the best time of the year. Now I know we have no snow, but Christmas is still here. Ho ho, the Christmas shows each week for all to see. Movie classics wait for you and our local content for free. Have a content capital Christmas, and in case you didn't hear, oh by golly, have a content capital Christmas this year.
The newest book is here, Closer to the Church, the debut novel by author and former Mayor Louis Lee Singh. Available at all the Home Store branches, Barataria, West Mall, Shogunas and C3 San Fernando. Paper-based bookshop 10 Nook Avenue, St. Anne's, WESN 30A Gattaca Street, Woodbrook. Metropolitan Bookshop, Ariapita Avenue, Woodbrook, and all RIK bookstores nationwide. Available online as paperback on Amazon.com and Kindle for e-readers. For more info, call 628-5835 or 389-6504. Also available from author Louis Lee Singh, I Used to Live in Heaven, Letters to My Granddaughters, and Local Government in Trinidad, Conspiracy Against the People.
Join me, Dr. Nalini Kokram, on What's Up Doc, where we discuss all your burning questions concerning health.
Trinidad and Tobago is among one of the highest risk group of patients that develop this form of genetic breast cancer.
What I'd like to take home from a short interview like this is screening. You must screen.
Because it's silent.
It's silent.
Yeah.
And because it's silent, you don't know it's there.
What's Up Doc, every Tuesday and Thursday on WESN, Content Capital.
Join me, Sule A. Joseph, as I delve into the day-to-day psychological issues plaguing our society. We will discuss behaviors that encompass the biological influences, social pressures, and environmental factors that affect how you think, act, and feel. Sight, Thursdays at 11:30 a.m., only on WESN, Content Capital.
We are WESN, the premier platform for Caribbean content. WESN, covering West, East, South, and North. WESN, we entertainment, sports, and news. WESN, available on Greendot 7, Amplia 118, Airlink 17, Bmobile 107, Digicel 21, ICNTT 105, and Flow 110. Connect with us at WESNCC or stream online at www.wesncc.com. WESN, your premier platform for Caribbean content.
Electoral fraud.
Ivana, a Serbian journalism student, has landed a scoop, documenting the purchase of votes by President Aleksandar Vucic's party, a practice long assumed to be taking place, but never proven until now. She got herself hired in a call center run by the party, and what she filmed is startling.
Here she explains the working conditions. I have to photograph my ballot to prove that I am loyal and that I will vote for them.
The agreed price for this vote buying, €50 paid in cash.
The call center is organized by a hostess agency, which has no legal existence but still operates. This agency orchestrates vote buying in Serbia, and we don't know where the money comes from. It's an illegal practice.
The case prompted a response from the Serbian president, who denied any wrongdoing. Yet another media appearance for Aleksandar Vucic. In or out of election season, the president and members of his party are seldom off the screen. This week alone, they enjoyed 75% of all television coverage. According to the CRTA Independent Research Center, there is a clear imbalance.
The presence of President Vucic in the campaign is such that it feels like it's a presidential election, not legislative or local. The president had 4 hours more airtime than all opposition parties combined.
On these sped-up images from the 2020 election, a woman in a striped sweater dictates the vote of a group of voters. That time around, Aleksandar Vucic's party won an absolute majority. 3 years on, Serbia's elections appear no more democratic.
And that's it from this edition. Do stay tuned. There's more news coming up after this. Do stay with us on France 24.
taller, bigger, and more powerful. Modern wind turbines offer the potential for reliable, abundant energy. But what happens to the aging fleet? The industry is now scrambling to avoid a waste problem, giving old turbines a second lease of life.
We are in northern Jutland. By far the largest portions of turbines in Denmark they are in western Jutland and in northern Jutland. These are the most modern wind turbines we have in Denmark at the moment. Behind me is a turbine that produces 3.6 megawatt, which is enough to power about 3,000 households. Here we already had wind turbines. It was old turbines erected in the late 80s and they were obsolete. Some of them were not running, so it was not a well-functioning wind farm. The idea about exchanging the old turbines for new are called repowering. What we do is we simply take them down. Some places we reuse the turbines, and then we put up modern turbines, most likely less turbines than the number we have taken down. There's a large concrete foundation under any turbine. In some markets we cover that with soil, and in some markets like Germany it is actually removed, most likely by blasting, so that there is no trace left of the foundation. In Denmark, we don't remove the foundations. You are actually allowed to put soil on top of it. Repowering will allow, with fewer turbines, to have 10 to even 15 times more power production than from old turbines. In general, the cost is very much the new turbines, new foundations. You also need to put in new cables because the dimensions of an old wind farm, the foundations, the cables, the transformers, won't supply a modern wind farm. There is a big movement in Europe to do repowering, especially in Denmark and in Germany, where we have a fleet of old turbines that are obsolete. In Denmark, we need to replace at least 6,000 to 7,000 turbines within 7-8 years. Both Denmark but the rest of Europe is short of electricity at the moment. We need more power, and repowering is a way of ensuring that we do get more power. If we can increase the power output from a wind farm by 6 or 7 times by doing repowering, that's a really, really good idea.
Wind turbines have become a symbol for clean energy, but their lifespan is surprisingly short. Most won't last more than 20 to 25 years. That's why across Europe, the steel giants are reaching the end of their working lives. They came onto the grid in the 90s in the first great wave of renewable power. Fast forward to today, and nearly